Hi students and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a fantastic week. This is a members chat class. Everybody is welcome to watch. To become a member, click on the join button next to the subscribe button. And if you don't see the join button, just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com and I can give you some further instructions. Coming up in 90 minutes, we will have an all-chat class for the listening section where everybody will be able to join the chat. For now, in this class, we are looking at the reading section, and we are going to discuss how to get a Band 9, what is the correct approach to do that, and we will use our materials to practice. Hi, Abhishek. Welcome, Sammy. Welcome to our members joining in to the group. As usual, this lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Check us out there. We have lots of reading materials and strategies, as well as help for all sections of the exam. For the general IELTS, you can join us at gieltshelp.com, and I'll show you that in just a moment here, where that is. So that's gieltshelp.com or generalieltshelp.com, where of course we have materials that are specific for the general IELTS exam, especially the reading and task 1 writing. This is what our websites look like. This is our academic IELTS website here. You can click that big red button to join the premium package. For the general IELTS, it looks like this with the green background, and you can click that big red button there. We are an official British Council IELTS registration center in Saudi Arabia, and we have British Council IELTS agents, so you can ask us questions about the IELTS and the registration process by sending me an email. Also, everyone, kind of fun and new, we have some new Instagram pages for you to follow where we're posting lots of free material for the IELTS exam. I'll just quickly show you that. So this here is our academic Instagram. You can kind of see the Instagram address here. It's IELTS_AEhelp. That's for the academic. And we have daily vocabulary, and we have IELTS videos regularly posted here as well. And then, of course, you can get some practice materials like speaking part 2. You can get a free score, and you can get a cue card there. You can get special discounts on our products. You can also see our regular live streaming schedule on YouTube. So lots of information on our Instagram profile as well. So make sure you check us out there and enjoy that. And then just one more interesting announcement. Hi, Carolina. Hi, Amrita. Hi, OS Rashika. Nick Hill, welcome to the class. On YouTube, we just posted a new video. This is again a point of view perspective style practice video for speaking part 1. So definitely check this out. It's an IELTS Band 9 speaking example with Brendan. This is new. You have not seen this. This is a different session from the previous post with Brendan. He's from Vietnam. And in the beginning, you have a chance to practice this speaking part 1 in kind of like a karaoke style session with me. So definitely really good practice for your speaking. So check that out. And then, of course, once you do the practice, it takes about 4 minutes. Then you'll see the video with Brendan where he answers the same questions and scores a Band 9. So check that out. All right, Sammy, you're following our Instagram. That's great. It's a smart idea. You'll see lots of helpful vocabulary and materials there. Okay, and also check out this new YouTube video. It'll be fun. Okay. All right, fun and educational. Okay, everyone, so let's get into today's lesson a little bit. I'm just going to brighten up our lives a little bit here as this background is darker. There I am. Hi, everyone. If it's too bright, let me know. Okay. So again, the Instagram is IELTS_AE help for academic and IELTS help for general Instagram. Okay. And you can actually use this code INSTA25 to get a 25% discount on our websites for the premium packages. Okay. So definitely check that out. And again, if you have questions, just send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. So right now, reading, let's get into it. This is our reading topic for the day. It's currency around the world. So currency around the world. We have a nice picture here. So members, what's our first step? You're in your reading section of your IELTS exam. You open up the booklet or you get to that part in the computer-based exam, and then you see a picture and you see this title. What should you do? What's your first strategy? What's your first step as you get into this? What do you do? And we've got lots of members in the class. I can count up about 15 so far, so I'm sure I'll get a couple of great answers here. Hi, Ollie. I'm Rita, Jainil. Nice to see you all joining in. Okay, so Ois says, take notes from the title. Yeah, and you don't have to necessarily write these down, Ois. I mean, at home when you're practicing, I think it's a really good idea to write it down. During the exam, you're thinking about these, okay? So Sammy says, read the title and visualize, okay? Sure. Let's start with that one, Sammy. So Sammy says, we'll read the title first and then visualize. Okay, sure. And let's do that together. I think that's a very good tip, Sammy. So visualizing and critical thinking, right? So step one, read the title and think critically about it and visualize it. Okay, so here's our example. Currencies around the world. Okay, so when you think about this, what can you visualize? Okay, so you visualize it. And the question here, of course, is, what do you see? So when you think about this title and you visualize it, what do you see? Give me some specific information, okay? And here we are, again, just the title and the image. Okay, currencies around the world. I'm going to read 700 words on this topic. I'm going to answer about 12 to 13 questions on this. And to do a great job, it's a really good idea for me to create a picture, not just a still picture, but more of a video, like a little movie in my head, which relates the information that I know about this. Okay, IELTS usually chooses topics that people have some idea about. Okay, so Jainil says all countries have different currencies. Okay, Jainil, that's not a specific visualization. It's very external. Okay, you want to be involved. So when you're visualizing, students, the best type of visualization is always where you're involved. Okay, so keep that in mind. So the best type of visualization is specific. Let me do this as capitals. Specific and involved. Okay, so you're seeing all different kinds of money around the world. Not so effective. You want to be a little bit more effective than that. Okay, good. So Sammy says, I'm imagining myself in a currency exchange office seeing different currencies. Okay, Carolina says, I'm seeing a little bit of the history, the euros and the dollars. Again, be specific here. Ali says, I'm imagining myself with €1 million, maybe two. All right, that's good. So let's take a combination of Ali and Sammy. That's kind of the right approach. So I see myself exchanging Hungarian for, we can do, you know what, be more familiar, Indian rupee. I see myself exchanging Indian rupee at an exchange office in downtown New York to 500,000 US dollars, and I'm checking the currency exchange rate because I am planning to buy gold bullion at the bank with the money, and I see my Visa credit card in my wallet as I check this. Okay, so of course this is happening very, very quickly. Again, practice with me, students. So repeat after me. What do I see? I'm going to be very specific and involved. I see myself exchanging Indian rupee at an exchange office in downtown New York to 500,000 US dollars. I'm checking the currency rates because I'm planning to buy some gold bars at the bank with the money, and I also see that I have my credit card in my wallet as well. So I'm gathering all of that information about currencies, how they look, how they work, how they exchange in a very specific context. Okay? So everybody's with me on this. Do you see where I'm going with it? You could see many other situations that are specific like this. This is just one example that came into my mind looking at this title, okay? Can you visualize that? So do you see yourself in a similar type of situation and feel that currency and see that gold bar and see that credit card? Carolina says yes, so it says yes, okay? So work on that. People who are powerful at visualizing information are usually very successful in their work and other parts of life. Keep that in mind. So people that actively develop powerful visualization skills are usually very successful in life. Professors, surgeons, artists. Okay, so it's no guarantee, but definitely one of the key skills that you want to have in life. Humans are visual beings. Our eyes are our most powerful sensory organ. Use it. Okay, use it. So, all right, so I'm picturing currencies. With this, I immediately recognize that currencies are always changing around the world. Currencies are always changing throughout history. The value of currency is given by a group of people, like a country, right? So when I visualize myself at that currency office and I think about what information connects to this, right? Because I could walk into a bank with my Indian rupee in New York and say, hey, I want to buy that gold bar. And they might say, I'm sorry, I can't do anything with that until you actually bring me dollars, right? That can happen. So here I have a lot of information that's immediately relatable to the topic of currencies around the world. Currencies, especially modern currencies, are valued by the value that a group of people give it, okay? Gold is valued by most everybody, and so on, all right? So lots of connective and connecting information. All right, so now I go to the end and I look at the questions to see if I can get a little bit more help here, all right? So now I want to read these ones. These are which paragraph contains the following information. These are very popular in the IELTS, both in the academic and in the general, because for this type of question, the IELTS examiners know that you have to read the passage to do a good job. Okay? So when you're practicing this type of question at home, what should you do? What should you do when you're looking at this type of question at home? You should read it, okay, that we know. What else should you do when you practice this question at home? What else should you do with it? It's a very important practice, okay? This type of practice you should do every single day when you're learning English or any other language for that matter. Yeah, very good. So Abhishek says, read it and paraphrase it. Jainil agrees, read it and paraphrase it, right? For many reasons, improve your vocabulary, improve your thinking, your ability to think dynamically from different perspectives, and because the passage usually gives this information, paraphrase, so using other words, okay? Absolutely. So Sammy says, can I darken the screen a tiny bit? I can do that, Sammy. Okay, how's that? Better? Okay, hopefully that's going to be a little bit better. All right. Okay, so let's do that. So Devansh says, paraphrase it in a simple way. And I agree with you, Devansh. You're looking for simple paraphrasing, so don't overcomplicate it. Good. So let's look at this first one. A type of currency with no intrinsic value. Paraphrase that for me. So in a simple way, as Devansh says, simplify it. Okay? So a type of currency with no intrinsic value. Okay? So paraphrase it. Express that in your own words. What's another way to say this simple sentence? Okay, let's see what you come up with. I'll do the same. Okay? Yeah, very good. Ali, I like it. He wrote almost exactly what I wrote. So Ali says, a kind of money without true value. Yeah, that's basically verbatim what I wrote. And I know you weren't copying me because you wrote it just before I wrote it. So very good, Ali. That is one way to know that you're doing a good job in paraphrasing, when your paraphrasing matches with your teachers or with lots of other students who are doing a good job, okay? So very good. Almost word for word, Ali. You got the same. So a kind of money without, and I put it into quotations, right? Without true value. Okay? Yeah, Janelle says a type of money with no true price or no true worth, right? So instead of value, you could use the word worth if you're really wanting to replace every single word. And that's a good paraphrase, because you might see the word worth and you might not see the word value when this answer is explained in the passage. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Let's go to number 29. An ancient gold standard, in quotations. So an ancient gold standard. So give me a nice paraphrase for that one. Now, remember, when you're paraphrasing, you can switch the grammar. You can use description. You can use synonyms, like what I did right here. So there are multiple ways. You can use antonyms and negatives. Okay. So Ferdov says currency in the past. So currency with a metal value in old history. Okay, that's kind of what I would go with there. So currency with a metal value in old history. So some kind of a material value. You could go metal or you could go material. Okay, material value in old history. Okay, Sammy says an olden gold value. Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, so you're always doing your best when you do this, right? So you're always doing your best. All right, so here we go. Let me erase this and move along a little bit. I want to really practice this question with you because you're not only practicing for your reading when you're doing this, but you're also building your lexical resource. You're also developing your thinking to be more dynamic. Let's try this one here. Grain convertible currency. Grain convertible currency. Try to paraphrase that one for me. Again, think about what is a grain, what does it mean to convert or convertible, what is a currency. So when you're paraphrasing, you want to think about each component, and you also want to think about the entire concept. So sometimes it's easy to paraphrase by looking at each of the elements, and at other times it's easier to look at the entire phrase. You want to do both, okay? Looking at both, looking at the components and thinking about the complete phrase gives you the best chance to come up with a very accurate paraphrase. And for paraphrasing, we can use this mathematical symbol of similar or almost equal, right? Okay, so Janil says a cop of grain to cloth. So, Janil. Devansh says food exchange for money. Devansh, I like it. So yeah, grain, of course, it's food. It's something that we can eat, right? So we're talking about a farm product here, right? So Nick Hill says a barter system in which exchange of grain is changed for money. Nick Hill, careful with that because the word barter system is not in here. So when you're thinking of bartering, that's not necessarily true in this case, okay? Abhishek, take out the word grain. So food used as a type of money, okay? Ferdov says goods as currency. Yeah, there's a better word than goods, Ferdovs, that you can find there, okay? Think about a type of stock that you can invest into, okay? Ois says seeds for money. Yeah, grain at the end of the day is a type of seed, Ois, so you're right, okay? All right. So seed is closer. I like the word food because really you are looking at food, right? In fact, if you want to be really specific, it's carbohydrates. But food used as a monetary standard. Okay, so here I'm reminded of the word monetary. Okay, monetary is the adjective form here of money, of course. And of course, because our topic here, our title is currencies around the world, I want to think about the word currency with as many synonyms or close words as possible. So I'm thinking money, monetary, credit card, and a lot of other types of words that we equate to the word currency or money. Okay, cash, dollar, etc. All right. So here I would go food used as a monetary standard because a currency, in another way, is a monetary standard. Okay? All right. Yeah, Carolina, very good. Food used as a type of money. There you go, Ferdovs. That's why I didn't give it to you because I was hoping that you'd come up with it. Very clever. Did you research it, Ferdovs, or did you think about it? So in the stock market, when we're talking about grains and food, we also call those commodities. So commodity used as money. Okay, very good. Ferdovs, in all honesty, did you think about it or did you look it up? What do they call grains in the stock market? Because I'm sure Google would give you the answer for that as well. And I'm curious, there's nothing wrong with researching, students. If you don't know, and I give you a hint, and you do a quick Google search, and then come up with the word commodity for a grain, that's absolutely fine. Okay, that's learning. So that's why it's there. All right. Good job. Very good, Ferdovs. Okay. Oh, Ferdov says, I am an economist. There you go. So All right, so it came to mind. Very good. So commodity, yeah, commodity is the more accurate and more high-level term. Okay, very good for Dobbs. Yeah, commodity, commodity. Okay, number 31, the first non-representative currency. How would we paraphrase that one? The first non-representative. So again, break it into the elements. First non-representative currency, right? How could we do that one? So give me a nice paraphrase for that. Okay, the first non-representative. I'm going to start and then we'll compare. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to call it the earliest abstract form of money. Okay, it says the first currency without true value. Yeah, an abstract form of money, meaning that it doesn't really have true value in the sense of food or a precious metal, right? So very good for Dobbs. I like it. For Dobbs simplified mine even further and says abstract money. Yeah. For Dobbs, don't forget though this part you have to paraphrase. So students, when you're doing good paraphrasing, and Nick Hill, this is also important. Going back to what I said that that previous one did not include a concept that you included. Okay, this is especially for students who want to try the TOEFL exam. Where paraphrasing is arguably even more important than on the IELTS. For good paraphrasing, keep in mind this point, okay? So, tip. For good paraphrasing, that leads to, let me erase this so you can actually see what I'm writing. So for good paraphrasing that leads to correct answers, it is very important to be accurate, which means that your paraphrase should not include any extra information or omit any important information. So Nick Hill, you had a little piece there that shouldn't have been in there. You added that. You said barter system. That could get you into trouble. Okay. And for Dobbs, you omitted the concept of the first, right? In the passage, there could be several non-representative currencies, but we're looking for the first non-representative. So can I get some thumbs up? Yeah, Nick Hill says, okay, sir. Sammy says, got it. Yeah. So always double check your paraphrasing when you're doing this at home and make sure that you haven't included any extra information and you haven't taken out any important information. If you do the TOEFL exam, this becomes very important because TOEFL's all multiple choice, and one of the kind of tricks they have in TOEFL is they'll have some answers that are almost correct but are missing either a piece or have an extra piece. So in TOEFL, it's very important to have accurate paraphrasing. Okay, IELTS as well. IELTS also. Okay. Maybe not as much as TOEFL, but IELTS as well. Okay, everybody's got it? Good. All right, perfect. Okay, we'll leave the last couple. You can try that on your own. I want to get to the reading so we can work through the passage and the questions. This is true, false, not given. We'll get to these as well, okay? We don't read them before the passage, of course, because they're confusing. And here we have two multiple choice questions. Speak of the devil. And here all we do is we just read, and of course we can paraphrase, change into a statement, the question itself. We ignore the choices, okay? So which of these societies is given as an example of failing to properly manage currency? Okay, so this society is given as a case study for not being able to handle their money, okay? What is a floating currency? The definition of a floating currency is, and then that's it. Don't paraphrase concepts that are in either single or double quotations, because you will see that. Okay? All right, so let's go back to our passage and read now. Here we go. So back to the very, very top, and we are reading together. So it's one more time from the title, Currency Around the World. Okay, here we go. This is reading, so don't just listen to me, but read and read with me. Okay, so read and read aloud if you can, if you have the opportunity. Okay. Here we go. 3, 2, 1 from the top, visualizing. So currency is the name given to the system of money generally used in a country. Examples of today's currencies include the British pound, the American dollar, and the euro. Currency, however, has a long history, and its origins can be traced back to the cultures of Mesopotamia and Egypt more than 4,000 years ago. In these civilizations, animal-shaped pieces of metal were used as currency. These pieces of metal represented grain stored in a town granary. A person could presumably convert their money to grain at an established rate. The problem with this system is that it is severely susceptible to warfare and piracy. If a foreign army takes over a town's granary, all of a sudden those pieces of currency are worthless. With these difficulties in mind, the next innovation in currency was to establish the value of the currency within the currency itself. Okay, so students, great. Here we're talking about the idea, the definition of currency, and the earliest currency in history, an ancient form of currency. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are going, ooh, I remember there were a couple questions with this. So many students here would just go to the questions and answer them and then come back and start reading more. I don't recommend doing that. You're clever. You're going to remember that this is the answer, the first paragraph for those questions, okay? So believe in your brain, all right? Believe in your brain that your brain can hold this information and will be able to use it later. So don't rush to the questions, okay? Read the passage. Read the passage. Here we go. B. Gold had long been the most coveted metal by many societies. The Lydians of what is modern-day Turkey were the first to use gold in coinage in approximately 800 BC. Having the coins themselves made of gold removed the need for the currency to represent something. It simply was a piece of gold and had the corresponding monetary value. The ancient Greeks further popularized the use of gold coins. They also used silver and copper coins. Silver was used for medium to large transactions, while copper coins were the currency of general use for the merchant and the peasant classes. Shaving of coins, whereby a dishonest person took some of the gold off a coin with a knife, was a significant problem until the scientist Archimedes discovered a method which could determine the exact amount of gold in any sample. From this point on, trade in gold was reliable and safe, which was one of the many reasons for the success and proliferation of the Greek and Roman empires. Okay, so here we have precious metals, gold, silver, copper, being used as early currencies, and their importance in history to the Romans and how they were standardized. Okay, I'm visualizing all of this in paragraph B. Now, here we go with C. Everybody good so far? If you're reading the IELTS at this speed that I'm reading at right now, you should have no problem reading each passage and answering the questions, okay? All right, I see a lot of yups and yeses. That's great. Okay, so here we go. C, because gold was reserved for high-end transactions, most middle-class trade was done in copper. When copper became more plentiful, driving the value of it down, the amount of copper needed for a certain transaction became physically cumbersome. To carry around several kilograms of copper coins was not particularly practical. In 10th century China, this led to the introduction of paper currency. These paper banknotes or bills represented a certain amount of gold and could be traded for that gold at any time. This is a system which in modern times is referred to as the gold standard. Oh, okay, there's that answer, but I'm not going to jump. I'm going to keep reading. A system of intrinsically worthless bills which represent an amount of gold. The problem with this system is that banknote issuers tend to print more money than they have gold, so that inflation becomes a serious problem, not unlike today's credit cards. There's that credit cards. Societies pay for wars and other expensive endeavors by simply printing more money, a practice which is wholly unsustainable. Okay, so in the beginning, it was metal and grain. Then we got into gold and silver. Now we're coming into paper money and credit cards. So in my mind, I have this 1, 2, 3, the evolution of modern day money. Is everybody with me on that? So paragraph A, coins with animals representing grains. Paragraph B, gold standard. C, gold standard transforming into paper money, and the problems and advantages, disadvantages of each. These are all in our brains, right? Okay, good. Let's keep going. So I see Sammy saying yes, Devansh saying yes, sir. Good, good. Today's currencies are referred to as fiat currencies. This means that they do not represent gold or any other physical medium of value. They're purely abstract. They derive their worth from what the government says they are worth. The United States was the last major country to convert from gold-backed currency to fiat currency in 1971. While intrinsically worthless money, that is to say the paper itself has no value, is on the surface an unappealing notion. Economic pressures around the world assure that fiat currencies retain their value. There are exceptions, however. Weimar Germany of the early 20th century experienced what is called hyperinflation, where a currency rapidly loses its value due to overprinting. In 1918, when Germany converted to fiat currency, a 1 mark banknote was worth 1 mark in gold. 5 years later, it took 1 trillion marks in banknotes to buy 1 mark in gold. In the stronger, more peaceful economies of the modern era, such gross mismanagement of money is particularly non-existent, although inflation continues to be an issue of economic importance worldwide. So here about fiat currency now and the problems with fiat, right? So keeping that in mind, we're all the way up into 20th century. Let's keep going. Today's currencies, for the most part, are allowed to float on the open market. This means that they can be bought and sold as stocks are bought and sold. Exchange rates are set by the economic pressures of the day, and these can change markedly from year to year. Since the stock market crash of 2008, for example, the US dollar has diminished in value compared to other world currencies, most notably the Canadian and Australian dollars. Due to economic instability in countries such as Greece, the euro is experiencing downward pressure as well. Okay, so modern day money, the stock market, buying and selling of money. And of course, I pay attention to that word float, floating money. Okay. From its humble beginnings as lumps of cheap metal representing amounts of grain to gold coins, the paper fiat currency of the 20th century, money has undergone many changes throughout the years. Today, currency is moving toward plastic banknotes, which have a much longer lifespan and increased durability. Grain, gold, paper, or plastic currency has been making banking, trade, and commerce possible for over 4,000 years and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. And if I wrote this passage, I might even add another paragraph today about cryptocurrencies, the latest evolution of money in human history. So moving very quickly into another type of money, which is cryptocurrency, right? Digital gold. Okay, so that's our passage. Lots of information there. Hopefully everybody kept a catalog from paragraph A to B, C, D, E, and F. Okay? And now we will answer questions. And when you read the passage well, and you visualize well, and you do your paraphrasing mentally or on paper at home, you can do really, really well. Okay, so a type of currency with no intrinsic value. Okay, number 28. Which paragraph was that? Okay, first one was grain, so definitely not. Second one was gold. Third one was gold standard with the Chinese. So which one logically would be the answer for a type of currency with no intrinsic value? Abhishek says, I think it's D, right? Which makes sense, Abhishek, because that would come after the old Chinese system of the gold standard, paper representing gold, that still had an intrinsic value. And then D was the first paragraph that said money where the government just says, that's how much it's worth, right? So you can check this. Now, Ali says C. Ali, if you're not sure, check it, right? So it's very quick because you know it's going to be either C or D. So here we're still talking about gold, okay? Gold and this kind of paper money. China introduced paper currency, but this currency still represented gold. So it's still a type of gold standard, but it just means you didn't have to carry around the gold, right? So this is still, it still has intrinsic value because it's valued at the worth of gold, okay? Here, today's currencies are referred to as fiat. This means that they do not represent gold or any other physical medium. So they don't represent gold or any other physical medium, so it has to be D, okay? However, if you're not 100% sure, it's better to go back and check the C and D. You know it's one of the two, so check them, C and D, okay? So here it's D. All right, next one should be very easy. An ancient gold standard, number 29. I'll let you think. That should be quite easy now. This is why it's worth going back and checking for the first couple because that will help you figure out answers as well. Yeah, very good, Amrita. Absolutely. I mean, we just saw that, right? That's the Chinese gold standard. Yeah? I mean, shouldn't get that wrong. We just saw it again. So C for sure. Number 30, a grain convertible currency. I think that's where you got confused a bit for Dobbs. So a grain convertible currency, that will be fairly easy as well, I think. Yeah, that was the very beginning, right? The metal with the little animal shapes talking about the grain. So for 30, it's A. To keep it clear for me, it's good to do what Ferdovs just did, which is writing the number and then the letters. So 30A. Yep, absolutely. The first non-representative currency. So the first non-representative currency, which one's that? 31. What does it mean non-representative? So 31. It's not going to be the same as 28, so careful. It's not a no intrinsic value. So think about it. It's a little bit trickier here, okay? If you're thinking it's the same as 28, here you should stop and go, would the examiner really ask me the same question as they just did for 28? They wouldn't do that, okay? So Carolina says abstract, right? So what has abstract value? That's what it means, non-representative. Very good, Jainil. It's B, right? Because it means that the money doesn't represent a grain of rice or a chicken or a cow, right? So here, non-representative, it's a tougher question, but non-representative means that the money doesn't actually represent something of usable value for humans. You can't, I mean, at the end of the day, people, you still can't eat gold. It looks shiny, it's pretty, but if you're hungry, you're going to trade it for a chicken or a cow because you can't eat it. It's non-representative. Does everybody get clearly what that means now in this question? Non-representative. It doesn't actually represent something of value. It's a non-representative currency. Okay, do you see that? So in paragraph A, the metal piece actually represented how much grain you had. Okay, so it's non-representative. So it's B. Okay, all right. Economic pressures influencing currency values in modern times. 32, obviously we're much later in the passage now. So number 32, economic pressures influencing currency values in modern times. I would definitely think it's probably either E or F. If I had to, I would check. F is kind of the conclusion. So E, yeah, very nice. Okay, everybody's on page with me there. Good. Okay, and again, you know, we're doing this without checking, but on the IELTS, you have an extra minute to check if you must. Okay, yeah, Ali says, I think that's the one where it was 1 trillion German marks for 1 gram of gold. Yeah, so yeah, poor Germany there has led to World War I. Number 33, an example of the mismanagement of finances due to war measures. So number 33, what is that one? An example of the mismanagement of government finances due to war measures. I think this was maybe D or E, but I'm going to check because I can't exactly remember that. So for 33, I'm going to check Amrita, okay? I think it was either D or E. Okay, there's D. Okay, there's the 1 trillion mark. So that's the mismanagement. Okay, the hyperinflation. Okay, so that's the example, and that's in paragraph D. Okay, so we can check. All right. Can I see war somewhere? Okay, yeah. Economic pressures around the world that inflate them. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. All right. So that's D. And one more. The reason trade in gold was feasible in ancient times. Okay, and that was an interesting one. That shouldn't be too bad because it was really one paragraph that emphasized very clearly the trade of gold. So 34, I think, is not too bad. I think 33 and 31 are the most challenging questions here. 34. I'll check it, Carolina and Sammy, in 1 second. Okay, we'll answer this last one. So it's B. Okay. So you're saying that 33 you think should be... okay. An example of mismanagement of government finances due to war measures. Let's check it. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. Yeah, so here you said the problem with this system is that banknote issuers tend to print more money than they have gold, so that inflation becomes a serious problem. Not unlike today's credit card, societies pay for wars and other expensive endeavors by simply printing more money. a practice which is wholly unsustainable. So here we have the word war. You're right. I agree with you. But I'm still not sure that I agree with you that it's C. So let's see the question one more time. Here you want to be really careful. An example of the mismanagement of government finances due to war measures. The reason why I would choose D, and D is the correct answer, why do you think? Let me see if you can figure it out. So why is D still a better answer than, and it's tricky, but D is a better answer than C. Why? Okay, have a look at D one more time. So this is where I'm getting my answer from. Okay. There are exceptions, however. Weimar Germany of the early 20th century experienced what is called hyperinflation, where currency rapidly lost its value due to overprinting. In 1918, when Germany converted the fiat currency, a 1 mark banknote, and then here it continues down. Yeah, exactly, Jai Neil. It's an example of it, not an explanation of it. And this is an example, okay? Now, it's a little bit inferred that it was because of war, which it was, especially if you're studying 20th century history, you realize that this is an example of war, okay? But more importantly, this is an example, okay? The C is an explanation. So you have to be very careful. The subject of the question is an example, not an explanation. You would be correct with C if it's a tricky one. That's why I said 33 is a tricky. So 31, 33 are tricky. If this would be an explanation, then it would be C. But because it's an example, it's D. Okay? All right. Let's keep going here. Let's get into some true, false, not given. Sometimes the IELTS is not, it's challenging. It's not 100% clear, so you have to be really careful, okay? All right, let's do these quickly. I'm going to kind of just do these on my own and then follow with me, so hopefully you get the same answers as me. So currency whose value is self-contained is susceptible to loss of value from warfare. So that's the first one, 35, and that's obviously false, okay? Because self-contained would be like gold. Gold does not lose its value from warfare. So it's important. It's definitely important. It's given. Is it true? It's not true because gold does not lose its value from war. Okay. Archimedes discovered a method of shaving coins without being detected. Archimedes, is it important to know whether or not shaving coins is valuable in the context of currencies? Yes, because of gold being used as a currency throughout history. Is it true that Archimedes discovered this method? No, I remember reading about Archimedes, but this is a false statement. He discovered a method to know if people do this, not how to do this. Okay, so number 36 would be false again. Okay. Archimedes discovered a method to know if the weight of gold has been tampered with. Okay. All right. 37. Copper was considered a precious metal by medieval societies. We didn't actually read about precious metals, particularly the definition so much. So is it important to know whether or not copper was considered a precious metal? Maybe. But I don't remember reading about precious metals, so I'm going to say not given. Okay. Fiat currencies are intrinsically worthless. Is it important to know about the worth of fiat currencies? Yes. Is it true that they're intrinsically worthless? Yes, it is, because I know that by getting this question correct. A type of currency with no intrinsic value was D, that was fiat currencies, which tells me that this is true. And I see that many of you got that one correct as well. Okay. All right, so false, false, not given, true. Good. Everybody clear on those? Hopefully, yes. Okay. All right, last two, the multiple choice. I always answer these by myself first. Which society is given as an example of failing to properly manage currency? That was Weimar, Germany. We've gone back to that example several times. D it is, Weimar, Germany. Okay, now, students, here's something really interesting. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a quick second. Okay. Notice this word example come up here again. Okay, so when you see this, you should have a red light. Okay, it's a red light. You should have a red light go off in your head. Okay, it's a red light bulb. You should have a red light go off in your head and go, wait a second, that's the word example, and I had the word example here as well, so maybe these are related. If I picked paragraph C for this one, I might want to reconsider and think maybe that's going to be D. Do you see that? So keep that in mind, students, that some questions will help you get the correct answer for other questions. Okay? All right? So really pay attention to that. Good? Okay? So at times, certain questions will help you to be more confident in other answers. Okay? So if you were not sure and you weren't confident about C or D here, at this point, you can gain more confidence. Okay? All right. And the very last question, what is a floating currency? I remember that it's a currency which can be bought and sold like stocks. Yeah, everybody remembers that? Floating, that word floating. A floating, you can buy it, you can sell it on the Forex. Good. So a currency which is subject to hyperinflation. A currency which can be bought and sold on the open market. Hey, that looks really close to what I just wrote there. A currency which, okay, a currency which is made of, let's go with this one here, right? That one is such a close match to what I have, right? So think about the answer on your own, then match it up. If the match is perfect like this, that's great, okay? It's not actually on the stock exchange, it's on the Forex, but yeah, that's what you do with it, okay? You can buy and sell. I can buy Indian rupee, or I can buy pesos, whatever I want, and exchange it, okay? All right, everyone. So fantastic job. Lots of little tips and strategies in today's lesson for you. Make sure to practice those, okay? And for everybody watching, definitely check us out at aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Don't forget we have this promotional discount code, INSTA25, for a 25% discount on our premium courses. That's promoting our new Instagram pages, IELTS_AEhelp and gieltshelp.com. You're very, very welcome, everyone. Coming up in about 30 minutes, I will be back with some listening practice, part 1 and part 2. You're welcome, OS. Great participation today, members. Devansh, very nicely done. Okay, so always think critical, always visualize, be specific. Carolina, thank you so much. You're welcome. All right, that's it for today, or not for today, for now. In half an hour, I'll be back, listening part 1 and part 2, so hang around. I'm Adrian, signing out for now from Budapest. Bye.